Vericut 7.3 has recently been released. I'd like to show you some of the cool new features available. We're going to look into 6 main areas, starting with user interface. Here we see the new icons in Vericut 7.3. So how do we get to them? How do we set them? If you go to look and feel, you can choose which size I want, small, medium or large. For this resolution of screen that we're working on here, I think that medium is appropriate. Also, we can regroup them, so you can drag and drop icons around as you wish, and also you can put these divider bars in, so you've got logical groups. Here I've got file type activities, NC program type activities, inspection type, analysis and optimization, display, window control, and the final group here is to do with reporting. So as well as having the new menus across here, the new icons, sorry, we've also got the icons in the pull down menus and in the right mouse pop-up menu. Fit, for example. There we go. So onto the windows. If we look at some of the windows here, we've got the project tree. So this has also been reworked with the new icons included. They're consistent from the quick navigation bar here and into the tree. You can hide the quick navigation bar if you want to regain some real estate. And the NC program window behaves in the same way. And whilst Vericut is processing, you can actually pop this menu in and out, so you can have it on display when you want and hide it when you don't. It's very nice. Now personally, I like to have the NC program window pinned out all of the time like this, and the project tree I like to have popping in and out when I require it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are some improvements in the way the tree works. It doesn't jump around when you go from branch to branch, twig to twig, so that's really nice to navigate. Similarly, pop that away for a while. Similarly, whilst the simulation is running, we can also pop out some of the debug windows. So this is to do with machine offsets. If we've got, say, a G54 work offset active, call stack for subroutines, main program, subsystem motion, perfect for complex machines, maybe multi-spindle, multi-turret machines, and 840D for numeric frames. Similarly, on the right hand side of the window, we've got the status. What's it called? Status bar, a status window, and this will be updated whilst we run. So for example, if I go through here, you can see this is showing us the local coordinate system, driven point, cut compensation situation, etc. And you only need to pop it out when you want, so you're keeping the screen clear of clutter. So that's a quick look at the new user interface changes in 7.3. So let's have a look at how this new keyboard control works. So most Vericut users will be familiar with this action, single step, using the mouse. Yep, you can get a bit tired on your finger. People who come on the training class will often learn to do the space bar. Yep, so you can share the load across your fingers. My space bar is quite noisy. And if you're a Space Mouse fan, then you can also map one of the button keys to do the repeat, like this. Now, a new feature in 7.3, if you just push and hold the space bar, single step continues until you let go. Zoom in, single step, repeat, single step, press and hold. Simple as that. It just feels right. So the other thing we'll take a look at whilst we're here is the new favorites. So you get to the favorites menu through here. There you go, file favorites. Now we've got a new dialog. So in this window we can configure what goes where. So this is a name of the shortcut, where it goes, the filter for files that it will display for us. So for example, I've got some nested ones here. I've got my favorite examples, and in demo files here, if I just hover my mouse, we get a thumbnail of the particular VC project in question. There you go. So you can take that and you can drag and drop that into your current project. So the other thing that I'd like to show you is not just how you can configure favorites, but how you can use favorites. So if I go into any file selection box and I click on Open Project, so I've got some examples here. So the one that we just looked at, I just click on that, it loads straight in. So it's a very convenient way for managing your templates or networked mapped folders that you might have, and it's available everywhere in the project tree. So for example, on machines, when we do open, you can also go to your favorites here and choose them. To display the cut edges, we go into File, Preferences, Model File Edge Display. You can set a threshold angle or leave it at the default, and it automatically changes the display like this. If we put on accelerated graphics, we get that in the translucent view, but also in the cut stock view you can see that we have the all the edges, so we can see what face is in front of which. So that's File, Preferences, Model File Display. I'd suggest leaving that on as the default. The other thing that we're going to take a look at is the sketcher. So I'm just going to go into part in the tree and I'm just going to add a brand new sweep. So here we get sketcher, and I'm just going to add a series of points here. With the points added, I'm now going to choose one of the points, and at this point I'm going to create a radius. There we go. Go to another point, and here I'm going to create a chamfer. Different methods of doing this. I'm just going to make this a 5mm chamfer. And the cool thing is now you can go back to these fillet points. You can just change it, 15, modify it, go back to the chamfer, change that first leg, second leg, as you wish. So that's chamfer, create and modify, and fillet. We've been able to create that for a while, but now you can modify it too. Really useful features to help you in your everyday use of Vericut. Using the right mouse button here, we can choose the conditions at which Vericut will stop processing. Well, what's new here is we can now add multiple conditions. So maybe I'll add a text string, G90 for absolute units, and maybe want to add another stop at condition, maybe stop at every tool change. So now when I hit play, the NC program, you can see stops at the condition of a tool change. Then we continue until this G90 text, another G90 text, another G90, and now we've got a genuine warning here. So that's how you can do it through the right mouse button, and also you can activate these or deactivate them. Now the other thing I'd like to show you is how we can choose specific stop at lines. So if I just click in the NC program, I can add a breakpoint. Now a breakpoint is a stoppable line, or a line at which we may stop. I'll give another one down here. Also we can choose a certain text. Now we can see that we've got a few values which tend to repeat quite often in this NC program. If I highlight these here, I'm going to say stop at this text. So every occurrence of that text will be a stop at condition. And I can see that just by right mouse clicking here, and you see we've built up a whole set of rules for where we want the NC program to stop. Now these breakpoints can be activated or disabled. You can disable them one by one, or just say disable all. And similarly you can enable all breakpoints. So there's some very powerful tools here for advanced NC programmers to check out the behavior of their machines and their NC programming systems. In 7.3, let's click on Tool Manager, and here we see standard tools. First thing we're going to do is look at the hide and display options. So if we take a holder, this one here, click on visible, we can toggle its visibility, maybe while we're doing something, building up another assembly for example. Also it works on the at the insert level. So if we look at these cutting inserts here, this one, maybe we want to take that away while we swap it out for something else. You'll also notice that the edges are displayed, as we've got very familiar with in Vericut 7.3. The next thing I'd like to show you on this is the cutting limits in OptiPath. So if you go to limits, there's a new section here. So tool wear limits. So the idea here is that you might have a certain tool where your post-processor is making a tool change after such an interval. This could be maybe after 50 minutes of cutting, it could be after it's done maybe a 20-meter cut, or it could be after it's removed a certain volume of material. Depending on how you calculate when a tool should be changed, you can replicate that exactly here, so you can ensure that your rationale for changing to a sister tool is being respected correctly. Also, let's take a look at the new keyboard shortcuts. I've got a tool here, tool 12, and just using the keyboard, I'm using Control C for copy, Control V for paste. So maybe if you want to take a bunch of taps, 80mm, copy them, rename them, edit them, it's a convenient way to do that. Similarly, we've got Control X for delete, so you can delete all the individual items. Next thing I'd like to take a look at is how we can import a tool using a recognized CAD format. So again, using shortcuts, we've got some step models here that we've taken from tooling manufacturers, and I'm going to choose this one from TDM Systems, hit load. So the step model is now being loaded directly into Vericut's Tool Manager. This was introduced a couple of years ago. We gave people the ability to easily import CAD models of their cutting tools. You do need to go in and identify what is a holder, what is an insert, and what is a cutting loop or cutting edge. And then you can choose whether to keep this as a live link to the original CAD model or to convert it into Vericut polygon representation. This depends largely on your internal processes and your license availability. And we hit add new tool. Now as you can see, this looks okay, but I was too hasty and I missed a few items. So this could mean that we will not correctly check for a collision risk. So let's see how we can do that better in 7.3. Exactly the same file, but this time I'm going to give Tool Manager a bit of help by saying this tool comes from TDM. Hit load. Now in this case TDM systems have tagged the solid bodies inside the CAD model, and we're reading those attributes so that we can identify correctly which is a holder, which is an insert, and which is the cutting face. So just hit add new tool, and here we go, we've got the tool in our tool library ready for machining purposes. Okay, so that's the improved interface from TDM step models. Now let's try something else. The interface from Zoller database. So Zoller's tool management software is called TMS. Here we have a direct link through the internet to their server. Here are a set of tool lists, or setup sheets in their terminology. I just choose one. It tells me we've got 4 tools. Just hit OK, and a new tool library is built for us with the 4 tools in. So this is ready for verification. It's a licensed option. If you're using TMS in your company, please take a look. So that's a quick look at Tool Manager in 7.3. So let's load up a part, suitable machining project for this example. So first we're going to take a look at how we can do the drag axis. So we choose an axis, and we've got this new little gadget here, a drag gadget. So just take it there, and you can move any axis between its travel limits. Got X, Y and Z. Also we've got a rotary axis here, we've got a B axis for the rotary table, so we can just play with this. So we can exercise the machine tool within its travel limits, so it can be good for making sure that a job is in the right position on the table for accessibility. So that's the little drag gadget. Okay, next thing we're going to take a look at here is I'm going to do some machining. I've set a stop out point. So we've stopped at this point because we're just about to use this T-slot type cutter to do some internal machining. So I'll just do a couple of single steps, and at this point I'm going to use the wedge section to literally cut a wedge out of my cut stop model. And a nice thing about this, you can also drag to change how much you remove. So put that back to 90 degrees and single step. So we can see here that Vericut is doing some internal grooving, so we can see what's going on inside of the part without taking a full planar cut. We can just cut out the wedge to give us an indication of what we want to see. The next thing we're going to do is better in the reset mode. I'm going to look at one of these models here, maybe this stop model, and I'm just going to use mirror, show how this works. So there you go, it's mirrored in a certain axis relative to a certain position. There you go, mirror. So great for left hand, right hand type work. So that's a look at some of these other features in Vericut 7.3. First of all, let's take a look at the new snap orthogonal. This button here, so once you have something nearly lined up, just click snap orthogonal and it snaps to that view. So you can then pan and zoom, knowing that all your vertical lines will be vertical, horizontal lines will be horizontal. Just how engineers like things. We don't generally like things like that, do we?